Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Nathan Crampy. I am so honored that you are here, and we have a lot to get to today, and we are going to be going through a lot of information as it pertains to, well, everything related to retirement. And don't worry, retire happy. 7 steps to retirement, freedom, and security. Now, again, it is nice having you here. My name is Nathan Crampy. I want to welcome you today, and we do have a lot to get through. So let me pull up my slides here and let's start diving into some details here. First off, I am the founder and lead wealth advisor here at Lions Wealth Management. It's a registered investment advisory firm in Minneapolis. Now, we go all around the country, and because of that, we talk about not only retirement, but all what it means to be retiring with the correct amount of income and how that can not only last the rest of your life, but how you can actually be passing on assets to the ones you love as well. So that's where today really came from. Now, retirees face a lot of risks out there. Obviously, we have living longer. We have increase of medical costs. We have an increase in an uncertainty about Social Security, about Medicare. We have disinflation. We have deflation. We have market collapses. We have these pronounced rebounds that are happening. Well, all of that is really starting to highlight the fact that retirement's not the same that it used to be 20, 30, 40 years ago. And if you ask 50 different people about retirement, you will get 50 different answers. And so today, I really wanted to dive into some of the details. And after studying some of the best PhDs who have been studying retirement, they really have come to the same conclusion. So this is Dr. David Babel, Dr. Moshe Milevsky, Dr. Robert Merton. All of these individuals are very pronounced when it comes to studying retirement. And what they have found is that there is not 50 optimal ways to retire. There's only one optimal way to retire. And that really got me thinking about today of what we're going to be talking about and the topics that we're going to be going through. So let's dive in here. This is really kind of where it all started. This is a number of years ago, this article that you are seeing here. And this is Forrest Yeager and his wife. Now, Forrest is 91 years old. And first thing I have to think about here is, man, does he look good for a 91-year-old? But this is the sad reality is that he has $45,000 left to his name, and he's taking $300 per month from his accounts. So he's worried about running out of money, and especially he's worried about the fact that even if he passes on, he's going to have his wife be able to live on this money as well. And what Forrest did not know is that if you took that $45,000, that last $45,000 that he had to his name, and he took it to an insurance company, he bought an annuity, and it paid out a 20% withdrawal rate at his age, which is 91, that would equal about $9,000 a year, or about $750 per month. So right away, he would actually be getting more than double the income, and it would be guaranteed. So that's really where today came from, is that there's not a lot of individuals that know how to do retirement correctly when it comes to working with the income streams. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different avenues and aspects related to that. But this is where it all began with Forrest Yeager. Okay, well, really, in retirement, every day is Saturday, and that is such a great, basically, thing to have, that every day is Saturday. We have ability to go out, do what you want. But it really came back down to years ago that retirement was secured. It was something that you were able to do with respect to having a pension. The pension was what guaranteed your retirement, and 19% of people today have pensions. And of that 19%, 16 of those 19% work for the government. So if you want to enjoy your retirement, it's not the way that it used to be. is much different today than what it was. And that's why when we talk about all these things, we have to go through what is new for retirement, what are the fun aspects of retirement, and what are the ways that we can correctly and optimize your retirement. Well, again, that's where today came from. Don't worry, retire happy. 7 steps to retirement security. And we are going to go through those 7 steps here as part of our agenda. So we're going to get through step number 1, have a plan for retirement. You see, when you have a plan, it actually makes it much more likely to be accomplished. And retirement is not a do-it-yourself type of proposition. No, and I would actually venture to guess that you don't do your own dental work in the garage, say. So when we talk about retirement, there's a lot of different ways to look at retirement, but it's not a do-it-yourself piece because we have to have all of the different details of what is going to basically increase your probability of success and what's going to make you ultimately secure in retirement. Second aspect that we're going to be getting to then is Social Security. Now, Social Security is going to be one of your largest financial assets in retirement. But sadly, there are many people that spend more time planning their summer vacations than they do working on and maximizing their Social Security benefits. So we're going to be talking about that. Number 3, consider a hybrid retirement. You know, some people do retire too early, and I want you to actually consider what it will look like to be working at least part-time, and that'll help increase your level of success. Fourth, we're going to get to protecting your savings from inflation. You see, inflation is a virus, and we're going to look at ways to protect your hard-earned wealth from there. Number 5, secure more retirement income. This is another piece of the puzzle here, and we're going to be camping out most of our time today right on this element here, securing more retirement income. So there's going to be a lot of basically tips, tricks, and tools I'm going to be going down and teaching you about this. Number 6 then is having a plan for long-term care. Now, this plan is going to be very helpful when it comes to making sure that you don't run out of money when you need it most, when you are needing long-term care. And I want to make sure it does not wipe out your entire life savings. Number 7, and our last one, how to use your home equity wisely. So that's what we're going to be getting to today. And then I also have a bonus right at the end there. It's going to come down to how to pass on your assets correctly to your children, your grandchildren, charities, and in such a way that you can be leaving them a lot of money, and all you have to be spending is pennies on the dollar to do so. So we'll be talking about that as well. Okay, well, let's dive in here. We are going to be talking about the very first strategy. You have to have a plan. Well, I think this sums it up very well. Those who have a plan for retirement are 3 times more likely to be confident they will have sufficient income in retirement as compared to those who don't plan. That is incredibly important. And this is something that comes back down to your probability of success. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about why this is so important. Well, this really shows it right here. Now, here are 2 different ways that you can be retiring. And I would actually venture to guess that on the left is your parents. And on the right is how you are going to be retiring, or even currently are retired. So let's kind of go through this here. On the left, you're actually going to be seeing a difference here. Now, your parents retired. They were given a gold watch from the company, and they were also given a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of their life. That was an income stream in the form of the pension that they were guaranteed the rest of their life. This was an incredible deal that they received, and their companies really took care of them. Well, they also received Social Security, and Social Security was such that they got much more out of it than they ever put into it. So back in the mid-30s is when Social Security started. Well, maybe your parents retired in the 50s or even in the 70s. Well, they didn't have to put in that many years worth of working in order to get a great benefit off of there. Then the last element that you can see here is their nest egg. Now, their nest egg is usually a lot smaller because they spent more of their working career not only making sure that they had put money aside into the pension plan, their company put more money aside into the pension plan, so they didn't have to have as much in extra assets in their nest egg. And so what ended up happening was they never actually talked about retirement in the way of having hundreds of thousands of dollars set aside. So they didn't need 500,000. They didn't talk about having $250,000 set aside. No, they talked about it in respect of income. So they always went back and said, well, I'm going to be retiring and living on $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month. They never said, oh, well, I have $500,000 in the bank. So you can see some of the differences and shifts that have happened over the last at least one generation, if not two generations. And you on the right are going to be retiring in a much different manner. So what that looks like then is that you may or may not have a pension, or it may be a very small amount. And then you actually will be having Social Security. Now, Social Security is such that when you take a look at where Social Security is today, it is an incredibly easy fix to make sure that not only you, but also your kids and your grandkids will be receiving Social Security as well. You see, it's very easy to fix Social Security, but I want to basically say that you're not seeing much of an increase in your Social Security benefits. And that's really because it's not because Social Security is broken, it's more because Medicare and our health system is broken. You see, every time we receive a raise in our Social Security benefits, Medicare premiums are going up significantly more. So the inflation that's happening in our healthcare premiums are going up, and that's offsetting what we are seeing from Social Security. Now, Medicare, Medicaid, our healthcare system is going to be a much harder fix. Just give me 5 minutes, I'll fix Social Security, but you can't go and do the exact same things for our healthcare system. And so sadly, that's really at the state of affairs that we're in right now, that we have to make sure we have a plan in place for Medicare, Medicaid, and going through to make sure that we have the plans to make the money available when we need it most. But Social Security is going to be there. So we have the pensions, we have Social Security, and then any additional income is going to be coming from your nest egg. That's really what it comes down to. And you probably know how to invest well. You probably have actually invested well over the years into some stocks, into some bonds, a well-diversified portfolio. That's not the issue. What the issue is taking your nest egg and turning it into income. You see, we don't retire on the nest egg, we retire on income. And the success of your retirement comes back down to how you answer two questions. And these are turning your assets into income streams. Now, the very first one that I want to ask you, what do you need your retirement income to do? That's a very important question to ask. And the second one is actually just as important. What do you want your retirement income to do? You see, I would actually venture a guess that your retirement income is going to be needed to cover your basic necessities. So we're talking your cell phone bills, your internet bills, anything related to just food, groceries, your living expenses, housing, all of that. Now, all of that can be covered by your basic living expenses. And what the math and the science dictate is that you have to have this all covered by a guaranteed monthly income stream that is going to be guaranteed for life. So guaranteed lifetime income. Now, this is not where stocks fit in. This is not where bonds fit in. This is not where managed money fit in, or even real estate. No, this is really where we need to have something that is guaranteed for the entirety of your life, so that no matter what, you always have those expenses taken care of. Now, once we have those expenses taken care of, now we can do the fun things of life. What do you want to do? So you want to join a country club. You want to go and travel more. You want to see the world. You want to be able to take your grandkids out to lunch or even to dinner whenever you want. Those are the beautiful things that you want to do. Now, what's stopping you? I would venture to guess most of the time it's because you're a little worried to take some money out of your accounts, out of your hard-earned wealth in your retirement accounts. And you will probably sit here and say, well, it's been disinflation happening and we've had a low interest rate environment for so many years, but now we're having a lot of inflation. What happens if I need this money in the future? I don't want to touch it right now because what if this is going to be something that I need more in the future? What if it's something that emergencies crop up in the future? I need this money. I can't take the money out today because it's what if I need it in the future? Well, what ends up happening to many individuals is they never basically lead the life that they want because they're always thinking about that what if. And more so than not, there have actually been many, many people that have had money set aside for retirement in this exact way, but the exact things that we've been talking about here, that there's always something that crops up that they're saying, you know what, I shouldn't take money out because what if I need it in the future and I'm not really going to be excited to take it out today. I'm not going to be excited to take it out in the future because I don't know where things are going. And so what ends up happening is that they pass on. They pass away, they give the money and leave the money as a legacy to the kids, and they never actually end up spending it and doing the things that they want to do. But you know what? Who does spend that money then? If it's not you, it's the kids. And they're going to be ones joining the country clubs, buying the boats, going on all these really great vacations that you wanted to do. And I know you could be laughing about this right now, but that's realistically speaking what ends up happening. And I don't want this to happen to you. I actually want you to spend your money. I want you to use your money in the ways that you want to. That's what this money is for. Now, I know you may want to leave a legacy, and we'll be talking about that here in just a moment, is how to do that. But in essence, I really want you to be spending your hard-earned money that you have saved for. And that is where we want to get, so that we don't live a just in case, a what if type of retirement. Now, that's realistically speaking what we want to avoid. Now, how we get there is by a couple different manners. And step number 2 is going to help us maximizing Social Security benefits. Well, let's dive in. Okay, so we take a look at our benefits and we take a look at where all of our assets are. And I want to ask you a question here. What is your largest asset? Is it your retirement accounts, your 401k? Is it your house? Some of you may be, or what you're perceiving, maybe you do have a really great pension and you're thinking that's one of your largest assets. But I actually sit here and say that your Social Security benefit is going to be one of the largest assets that you will ever have. And here's why. If you are single, you are going to be taking out over $500,000, most likely over the course of your lifetime, from Social Security. And if you are married, it could be well over $1 million. So you could become a Social Security millionaire. That is fantastic news. And I've even seen some benefits between a husband and a wife that are over $1.5 million that they'll be taking out over the course of their lifetime from Social Security. But sadly, most people spend more time planning their summer vacations than they do planning and maximizing their Social Security benefits. So let's go through. I want to talk about how we can maximize them and the ways that you can be working to plan for your own personal Social Security when it comes time to taking them. Okay, well, let's take a look at this graph here. And this is really taking into account everything from age 62 up to age 70. Now, for this individual, we're going to be taking $1,000 a month. That's what the benefit is at their full retirement age, which is age 66. That's a full retirement age. And that is really what you need to know, because all of your benefits are based upon that full retirement age. So $1,000 at age 66. Now, if they retire early, they're going to be receiving a lesser amount. So they'll be receiving $750 instead of that $1,000. Now, if they prolong it and wait longer to take their money, they're not going to be receiving $1,000 either. They're going to be receiving $1,320 when they turn 70. So that's something that we need to know. And let's break out these two numbers here, the 750 and the 1320. 750 and 1320. I really want you to be looking at those numbers here. Now, when you take a look at this, you can really see that there's a huge difference between taking it early at age 62 and waiting until 70. Now, I have not adjusted it for inflation here, but what this is really looking, even not adjusted with inflation, is that it's almost a doubling of your Social Security benefit just by waiting a couple extra years. Now, I like to go to coffee shops, and I especially like to go to coffee shops that are not chain coffee shops. So single owner coffee shops, ones that have really good coffee to them. But I've noticed something over the last number of years. You walk into these coffee shops, and especially early in the morning, and you can still do this today, even post-COVID, that there's a lot of people that are in the coffee shop, that they're reading their morning paper, and they're just actually enjoying themselves. They're having a conversation, and inevitably I overhear one of the people asking maybe their friend there saying, well, I am retired, I just turned 62, and should I take my Social Security now or should I wait? And then inevitably someone else will chime in, well, I've been doing a lot of research and Social Security is going broke. They say that, just in the 10 short years that Social Security is going to be broke, and I don't want to give up my money. I want my money. So I want to take my money while the getting's good. And I think you should too. So when you take a look at it, you start to think, well, geez, if that's true, then yeah, I should be taking my money at 62. But again, that's the coffee shop answer. They're going to give you all of these reasons why you should be taking your money at 62. I need the income. I need all of these things. I should get started sooner because then I don't have to take out as much from my portfolio. Well, that's not necessarily true. Yes, that may be the coffee shop answer, but that's not necessarily the correct answer for you. And when we take a look at all of the details here, I want to really dive into how we can be working with this and in general, what happens to help to better your overall Social Security benefit. Now, in general, and I say this because there's a lot of different factors that you could be really considering here. You have to consider your health, medical history, even your longevity in your family, if it runs in your family or not. Maybe you have minor children at home or the age of your spouse. See, all of these are going to be coming back into when you should be taking your Social Security benefit. But in general, the breadwinner, the one who has made the most money in their career, should delay taking Social Security until age 70. Then the spouse can start taking it at any age that is appropriate. So in general, like I said, again, taking a look at your situation, it may be a little different, but in general, the breadwinner should delay taking their overall Social Security benefits and delaying it to age 70. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to have to rely on the coffee shop answer. And I'll give you one example here that works out really well, just to highlight what I'm talking about. So we have a husband and wife, and the husband, let's just for sake of argument here, is getting $1,000 a month at his full retirement age, just like the example that we have here. Well, the spouse may have taken her benefit earlier, so she can take hers at 62. I don't have a problem with that. You see, she will be getting, let's say, $600 coming in the door every single month, starting age 62, and she can do whatever she wants with it. She can be shopping with it. She can be using it for paying some of the bills. They can go on trips with it. They can do whatever they want with that. But if we have that $1,000, but we've delayed taking, and now it's $1,320, those 1320, per month if he had waited till age 70. Well, what ends up happening is if he passes away, his wife is going to get one benefit, the higher of the two. So her $600 benefit is going to go away, and that $1,320 benefit that's been increasing with inflation, that will go to her. So she is going to get the larger of the benefits. And so by doing it this way, we're actually looking to, well, protect both of your lives with this benefit as well. So there's a really good argument to say that you should be looking into, should you delay taking the benefit, at least for the larger, the higher spouse, the breadwinner in the family. Well, then you're going to come back to me and say, well, okay, if you want me to wait to take my Social Security benefit, then I need to actually have income. So how am I going to do that? Well, if you can take a look here, we can create a bridge. We can create a bridge that goes from where you're at today at age 62 and actually stretches to age 70. So we can take some of the assets that you have, create that income bridge, and get you to age 70. That's really one of the best ways to look at Social Security. But to do it appropriately, we need to actually do some planning. So go to ssa.gov, so the Social Security Administration.gov, ssa.gov/my account. And this is where all of your benefits are. So you will actually receive your own benefit when you log in. And it will tell you where you're at today for what your age is, your full retirement age, all the way up to age 70 for your Social Security benefits. Now, what we can also do here is then take a look at doing a calculation. And there are many calculators online that you can take those numbers and run the Social Security calculations for you or for you and your spouse as well. And it'll show you what the numbers look like at age 62, full retirement age 70, and anywhere in between. So you can take that and start doing the planning in place with it. And if you can't find a Social Security calculator, you can email me as well. info@lionswealth.com. info@lionswealth.com. And I'd be happy to have my team do these calculations for you. And we will do this just so that you can have this information, and then you can actually be using the information as part of your overall wealth plan. But that is one piece of advice that I would say definitely go for, and make sure you start planning your Social Security correctly. Okay, well, let's move on here because we still have a lot to get to. And third element is consider a hybrid retirement. Now, this is really something that many people say, well, gee, I'm retired. I don't want to go back to work. Well, I think George Burns has put it well. Retiring at 65 is ridiculous. When I was 65, I still had pimples. And oh, by the way, he lived to be 100 years old. So when we take a look at life, working just a couple extra years, even part-time on something you enjoy, can be actually very helpful. And here's why. You can have increased earnings. So the money you're receiving on a yearly basis from your work, well, that helps to augment what you're doing in retirement. You have increased savings if you put the money away into your savings plan, or you can actually increase your Social Security benefit even while you're taking money out of Social Security. You see, Social Security is based upon the highest 35 years of your work history. And if your part-time work, even doing something you enjoy, replaces one of those other 35 years of your work history, your Social Security is going to go up. You will actually get a raise in your Social Security benefit. So even just working part-time can be very helpful for what you are wanting and looking for in retirement. So it's a great thing to be considering. Step number 4, protect your hard-earned wealth and savings from inflation. Now, this is a big one. And like I've said before, inflation gets worse over time. And we're seeing this right now. It's like a virus. And today was even one of those days that we had a lot of very interesting news. We had last week our core price index, our CPI, come in really hot. unexpectedly more inflation happening. Today, we got new numbers that came in with higher inflation numbers happening. Well, all of that's coming back to saying that we need to have a plan in place for this. And when we take a look at the reasons why we need to have that plan in place, let's take a look at what $10,000 will buy us in the future. So $10,000 today, in 20 short years, at a 4% inflation rate, your purchasing power is going to be less than half than what it is today. Less than half. And if we wait 30 years, it's going to be 70% less in your purchasing power than what it is today. So we need to guard your portfolio and your hard-earned wealth against inflation. Now, right here, this is where stocks come in. This is where bonds come in. This is where real estate comes in. This is where your managed money comes in. All of those assets that we've been saving, this is what it can really help with. But a successful retirement has two components. Component number one is an increasing stream of income. So it's not just enough to get $500 every single month. Next year, we may have to have $510 or $520 to equal what the $500 today does. But the second thing that I want you to realize is that the greatest component that we can be sitting here for a successful retirement is by risk management as well. Now, that can be your downside risk. So moving out of stocks and bonds when things aren't doing well. But what that also implies is that there are other ways to take those retirement risks off the table. That's what we have to do. And what are those retirement risks? Well, there's a lot there that we need to be working on. But one of those avenues that we can go down to help do that is by taking away the risk of that increasing income that's subject to the stock market or subject to the bond market or real estate turning down, by having more secured, guaranteed lifetime income. And like I said, we're going to be spending a lot of time on this. So I really want to be going through this, and I'm going to be going through this a little quick. So I don't want you to feel that you have to be really keeping up and understand every little concept. Again, if you have questions about this, I'm here for you to ask questions about. You can email us at info@lionswealth.com again, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have in this arena. Well, I think Time Magazine really put it well, that securing at least a base level of lifetime income should be every retiree's priority, at least if they want to live happily ever after. Now, there are three, realistically speaking, different ways that we can have a guaranteed lifetime income. Well, we have a pension here. We talked about the pension. Now, I have a question though. What is a pension? It's a lifetime income annuity. It's a paycheck for life. Second place, we have Social Security. Well, we've already talked about Social Security, but what is Social Security? Well, it's a lifetime income annuity. Again, it's a paycheck for life. And what the math and the science dictates, what we talked about before with all the studies of retirement, just going back to the math and the science, not based upon facts not based upon thought processes, not based upon the feelings, but based upon facts and science, that we have to have that really covering all of your basic necessities. Now, what happens if your pension and your Social Security do not cover all of your basic necessities? Well, then we have to go out and get more guaranteed lifetime income from annuities. And this is from an insurance company. Now, I understand you most likely are thinking, and you're not alone here in saying that, well, geez, I don't like annuities. Susie Orman doesn't like annuities. Dave Ramsey doesn't like annuities. Even Ken Fisher takes out these huge advertisements saying he doesn't like annuities and you shouldn't either. Well, I'm a little interested of why people say that, because when you get your pension, that's a lifetime income annuity. And so are you going to actually call up HR and say, stop sending me those annuity checks? Or are you going to be calling up the Social Security Administration and saying, stop it, I don't want to see those checks here anymore, just stop sending me those? I don't think so. So when we really dive down to it, it really comes back down to people have a huge aversion to annuities that are sold by insurance companies. And when it really comes back down to is the fees that are associated with them. And when you take a look at them, there are many annuities that have no fees attached to them whatsoever. Now, there are some that do have some fees. There are some index annuities that have some fees on the riders, or there are some variable annuities that have some fees associated with them. But as a whole, you can find ones that have low fees. And you can't retire on low fees alone. You have to retire on the income, remember. So think about it this way. It's realistically speaking like a car. And let's say that you went out and you were looking to buy a new car. Well, gas mileage was really important. So you started looking at the Prius and you're going to get 75 miles per gallon. Well, maybe it's such that you want actually a different color. You want a bed to put all of your gardening equipment in. You want something that will actually have a good sound system, or maybe you have a very rugged road that the Prius can't be on. So you may need a pickup. Well, those are two totally different ways of going from point A to point B. And it's not just about the gas mileage at this point. It's about all of the other necessities. Yes, gas mileage is just one aspect of it. Just like with annuities, the fees are just one aspect of it. And if we can get the lowest amount of fees for what we're looking for, that may actually be more beneficial to you than going to some other avenues, because now we can guarantee your retirement. And your ultimate success of your retirement is going to depend upon not how much money you have in your 401k, not how much money you have in your home equity or other savings you have. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the success of your retirement is not about all of those things. It's going to really be a paradigm shift here when I'm talking about this. It's not based upon that, because all of your assets can be lost. It can be stolen, swindled, sued, divorced, decimated, crash. There's a lot that can happen to this. And your money is really just numbers on a piece of paper. So your 401k is just numbers on a piece of paper. Your bank account is just numbers on a piece of paper. Your home equity is just numbers on a piece of paper. And what can you do with that? Well, you can either spend it or you can give it away. And you're going to spend it in your lifetime. And if you don't spend all of it, you're either going to give it away in your lifetime or you're going to give it away when you pass. You can't take it with you. And the success of your retirement depends, again, how you answer two questions that don't pertain to your assets. Question number one, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And then the second one is, have you taken the key retirement risks off the table? And those risks are what we were talking about earlier with respect to inflation as well. It's the same risk. Well, what are these risks? Well, we have deflation. We have inflation, we have market risks, we have withdrawal rate risks, we even have sequence of return risks. You see, when we take a look at sequence of returns, that's actually a great risk that you have. But here's the thing. You look at this and you're like, geez, I don't understand. The markets have gone up 12% on average since 1924. Well, if they've gone up 12% on average since 1924, I'm here to say, you can't take out 12% of your account every single year. You can't take out 10%, you can't take out 8%, you can't take out 5%. The newest numbers today from Morningstar, who is a very large institution that really dives into not only investments, but all the research behind retirement, they say it's 2.8%. 2.8%. that you can take out, even though on average the stock market is going up over 12% per year. And here's the thing, averages mean nothing when it comes to retirement. It's the sequence of returns. So quick story about a gentleman who retired in 1973. And between 1973 and 1995, the stock market averaged 10.1% per year. Now, his stockbroker told him he could take out 5% per year. But after that 22 years, he was flat broke. Flat broke. And it's because of the fact 73, 1974, and 1975 were down markets. And it doesn't matter if you're Warren Buffett himself. You can't be taking money out in a down market and expect to grow the money back in the good times. The math doesn't work that way. But here's the thing. Take a look at all of the risks here. There's one risk that's even greater. The number one retirement risk, longevity. That is what I call a risk multiplier. And here's where I'm going with this. If you retired at 65 and your average age that you lived to was 68, like it was back in 1935 when Social Security was getting started, it doesn't matter if the stock market drops by 10,000 points. It doesn't matter if inflation is at 10% per year. It doesn't matter if we have long-term care needs, because you're not going to live long enough to make it matter. But longevity is a multiplier of all of the other risks that we have. And so the smartest PhDs who study retirement say we need to take that longevity risk off the table. Now, how do we do that? Well, stocks can't do that. Mutual funds can't do that. Managed money cannot do that. Real estate can't do that. No, it's only just a couple very short types of investments. It's a short list. It's a single premium immediate income annuity, deferred income annuity, a fixed indexed annuity, variable annuity. That's about it. But what do these all have in common? The word annuity. That's what they all have in common. And when you look at all of the different types of ways that this works, it really is something that only an insurance company can do, because you see, insurance companies are on what you call both sides of the risk spectrum. They're on the mortality and the longevity. So mortality, that's when you die. So that's what life insurance guards against. Life insurance guards against your passing. And what's the biggest risk for an insurance company with insurance, life insurance, is the fact that you die too soon. So let's say you take out a $1 million policy. Well, great. You paid $25 for that first month because those term policies are actually very cheap. But the very next day, you turned around and got hit by a bus. Well, the insurance company is going to have to pay out $1 million for that $25 investment. So that's actually a really good investment on your standpoint there. But that's a risk to the insurance company. But here's the other aspect. What is the risk of you living to, say, 118 years old? You are 118 and you are still kicking, you're still going strong, and there's no way you're going to die tomorrow. And every single month, the insurance company is on the hook to pay you money in the form of that annuity, those lifetime income that keeps coming in. So that is what the insurance company, that's their risk of you living too long. Well, now you can start to see here that some of it is that you're living too short, some of it are not long enough, and some of it is that you're living too long. Well, those start offsetting each other. And so this is the reason why insurance companies can do this, because they're on both sides, the mortality and the longevity. And what we take a look at now is that we want to be able to protect not only from you dying too soon, but also from you living too long. And that's where the guaranteed lifetime income comes into play, and why it is to help retire optimally. Well, so if we're talking about this, the lifetime income annuities, well, what are they? Well, it's a pension-like stream of guaranteed lifetime income from a financial institution. So it's a guaranteed income stream. And here, we're going to be sending you money every single month, just like what a pension is, just like what Social Security does, just like what your paycheck was doing. And with your paycheck, you would spend some money, but you'd also save a little money and you'd do some other things with it. But with this, you always will have that money coming in, and you do not need to save it, because the very next month you're going to receive a whole new set of income. That's what the annuities guard against, and that's what that lifetime income pension guards against. And the people that are the most unhappy are the ones that don't have this pension-like stream of income, because they don't know how long they're going to live. They don't know what the returns are going to be with the stock market, and they don't know how much they can take out every single month. That's a huge aspect to it. And let's also go back to the psychology behind it. So not just talking about the money, but the psychology behind this as well. Think about going back to work. We got a paycheck every single month, and you put some of that money aside into your savings. Well, now you've had 40 years of savings, and the government's saying, oh, well, okay, you can retire, great. You're starting to think, well, I can't take money out of my accounts. I've been saving money in. I've only known how to save money into those accounts. I don't know how to take money out. And it doesn't feel right to start taking money out. And I'll ask you a question here. Would you take a large sum out of your 401k account and go buy a boat tomorrow just because you retired? The answer is probably not, because it doesn't feel right. And that's the psychology behind it. You call that the psychoeconomics. And so what this does is it translates your hard-earned wealth into something that feels better, something that feels right to you, having that stream of income coming in. Well, how do we look at this? And here's our annuity payout rates that you can find. You can find this anywhere online. And they have 3 different parts to it. They have the principal, the money you put into it. They have the interest that grows. But the other part of this, that's the secret sauce. That's what we call longevity credits. And you can't get these from stocks. You can't get these from bonds. But what the math and the science say is that the more longevity credits you have, the higher your probability of success is in retirement. So let's talk about that. What is a longevity credit? Well, let me talk about it in way of a story here. Look at these 5 women. They've been going on vacations every year for the past 20 years. They're all 90 years old, and now they're going on a vacation again. So they started thinking about, hey, let's do something fun this year. Let's all put $100 into a mason jar, seal it up, and then we'll bring it back next year with us. And for whoever's still around, we'll split the money. And they all thought that was a great idea, so that's what they do. So they put $100 into the jar, they seal it up, and you know what happened the very next year? They forgot where it was. No, no, they didn't. They brought it with them, but unfortunately, one of the ladies had passed away. So now they don't have the splitting of that $500 between 5 of them. They have that $500 split between 4 of them. So they're each receiving $125. Now, let me ask you a question here. How much of this was invested in the stock market? Nothing. What interest rate did they earn? 0. So all of this return were longevity credits. That extra 25% was longevity credits. Well, they thought, geez, this is a great deal. So let's put the money back into the jar, seal it up again, and we're going to do this again next year. Well, sadly, again, another of their friends passed away. And so now they're splitting that $500 between the 3 of them. So no more money was put in, but each one of them is having $167 returned to them. So that is a 67% rate of return in just 2 years, with no money in the stock market and no interest rate growth either. So that's what longevity credits do. And you're sitting here and saying, well, geez, I want my money to go to my kids, not to someone else. I want my grandkids to be able to have access to this. And I'm saying, great, That's what some of these annuities are doing now, that they'll actually pay for you, to have the money paying out for your spouse, your kids, even your grandkids. But those are the longevity credits. And this is a really easy way to understand. But obviously you may not be liking that story, it may not conceptually look right. So let's just take a look at a graph too, just to highlight a different way of how it works. Well, we have in the red the principal you have. That's the return of principal. Now, anyone can do that. Anyone can give you your money back. The other element, that gray piece, that's the growth of your investments, the interest rates, all of those aspects. Well, again, anyone can do that. Anyone can give you those back. But that last piece, the longevity credits, only a life insurance company can manufacture those credits. Why? Well, it's because they're on both sides of the risk, the mortality and the longevity. Now, you're going to sit here and say, well, I can create a portfolio of stocks and bonds that are going to do really well and outpace this. And I'll say, great, go ahead and do that. I'm going to reach into those bonds. I'm going to take some of them out, and I'm going to replace them with this annuity that pays the longevity credits. And I'm going to do that because it'll act like the best rated bond you will ever see, but it'll pay interest and income to you like the worst rated bond that you'll ever see. And what the math and the science actually show is that will actually help increase your rate of return, actually help lower your overall risk, and help you to have a more successful retirement. So the math and the science is really important to me behind this, because it really dictates what a good retirement will be like. Well, obviously, there's other aspects to this as well. There's the happiness factor. It's not enough just to have this. Let's take a look at how the happiness factor plays into this. Now, this was a study done by the Wall Street Journal. It said a secret to a happier retirement: friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. Think about some of the happiest people that you know. Maybe a lot of your friends. Are they retired teachers, retired professors? Maybe they worked in the military or the government. Well, what do they all have in common? They all have a pension. And they're not having to invest into risky assets. And they don't have to be miserable, because they don't have to be subject to all these ups and downs of the stock market. Now, speaking about misery, Great Britain's always been known as what they call the land of the grumps. And so Time magazine picked up on this, and they said a new study in the land of the grumps revealed that the retirees who have a guaranteed lifetime income stream can find true happiness. So it actually shows that we can actually improve some of the most unhappy people in the world. And then it ends with saying securing at least a base level of lifetime income should be every retiree's priority, at least if they want to live happily ever after. Pretty interesting reason and compelling reason there. But this is also funny as well. University of Chicago did a study a couple of years ago about this, and it was actually picked up by Tower Watson and then actually written about in the book Freakonomics. So go ahead, if you've read that book, awesome. If you've never read that book, well, I would definitely say it's a fun read. It's all about how there's a lot of different types of relationships all around the world. But what they said is that there are 3 ways to live longer and happier. The first way, on average, to live longer and be happier in retirement is if you were inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And on average, yes, you will live longer and be happier than anyone else. Second way that you can live longer and be happier is if you won the Nobel Prize in economics. Now, I do think that's a little self-serving of them, but supposedly that's the thing that comes out, that they, on average, are living longer and are happier because of it. Third way that they came up with, if you have a guaranteed lifetime income stream from an annuity. So you're really starting to see that living longer and happier come back down to that securing the levels of income that you need. And this is even written about over 200 years ago. Remember Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen? Well, if you go in and take a look at this, and you probably haven't read the book in a while, because you probably were in high school maybe when you read it last, but if you observe, people always live forever when there's an annuity to be paid to them. The annuity is a very serious business, and it comes over and over every year, and there's no getting rid of it. That's incredible. She wrote that over 200 years ago. So having that plan in place with your lifetime income is going to be very helpful. We have a couple last little elements here that we're going to get through. Planning for long-term care and your medical costs. You see, long-term care is a huge necessity, and there's going to be three phases of your retirement. The go-go years, this is where realistically you actually have the ability to travel. You're going to go on your cruises. You're going to be going out to dinner. You're going to be doing the things that you want to do. You're not lying around in bed. You're getting out. You're doing life. You're enjoying your retirement. Well, that's going to be followed by the slow go years. Maybe you are not wanting to go out and go downtown as much because, well, it's getting dark. It's 4:30. You don't want to drive in the dark. Or maybe it's the fact that you just don't feel like going to the gym today and playing the way you want to, or it's really windy out on the lake. I don't want to go on the boat today. Those are the slow go years. And inevitably, they'll be followed by the no-go years. And the no-go years is where the long-term care comes into play. Because when we look at long-term care, and if we need the health care, it can cost many thousands of dollars. And I have seen some that have been $10,000, $12,000 to $14,000 per month that people are spending on long-term care. Now, here's the thing. This is really needed. And I would actually say, try living without it when you are having to pay all this money and see how quickly your money runs out. It happens to many individuals, but they all come back and say, well, I have a plan in place. You see, I can be, my spouse can be helping me out. She can care for me, or he can care for me. And I would say, that's great. Do me a favor. Go all the way up the stairs and get into bed. Have your spouse pick you up, walk all the way down the stairs, and place you into your car. Now, that may happen today, but what about 20 years from now? I doubt that's going to happen. So other people will then say, well, I'm not going to need long-term care because I'm just going to put the pillow over my face and I'm going to end it. Well, that's also great, but you have to remember to do it. So long-term care is there to pay out and to help. And there's long-term care insurance that is for this. There's long-term care that is part of, say, like a life insurance with a rider. There's also annuities that have long-term care riders associated with them. So there's a lot of different ways we can be doing this, but actually planning for it is going to be very helpful. Okay, last element here, using your home equity wisely. You see, when we take a look at your home equity, it's one of the larger aspects of your retirement. And you can do a number of things. You can sell your house and downsize. That may be something you want to do. Maybe move somewhere warmer. Well, if you're single, you can have up to $250,000 that's tax-free. And if you're married, you can have $500,000 above your purchase price and your cost of the house that's tax-free. So this is a really good way actually to use some of your home equity. Well, you can also take a loan against it. So if you don't want to sell, you can take a loan against that as well. And then lastly, you can do a reverse mortgage. Now, reverse mortgages are things that have been pretty shady in the past, and there's been a lot of people that have done some really poor things with them. So do me a favor. If you're going to do a reverse mortgage, work with a professional. Work with a professional who knows what they're doing and can be very helpful here. But they are a very interesting piece that can be giving you income coming in the door every single month. So I definitely suggest looking into a reverse mortgage as a possibility if you want to stay in your home there. Okay. That was the 7, but I do have one bonus piece for you. And this is how we pass on all of your wealth to, say, your children, your grandchildren. But like I said before, I want you to spend your money. I don't want you to pass it on to your children. Well, how do we do that? How do we pass on assets? How do we pass on the happiness factor, especially to your grandchildren or to the charities that you want? Well, that's where we really dive into it. And I have a couple different strategies here for you. First of all, to the grandkids. Years ago, and you may still have this, it used to be actually worth it to put money into a CD at the bank. And so Annie did that. Now she wants to gift some money to her 6 grandchildren. And so she had $100,000 that she had put into the bank, and she gifted each of them a little over $16,600. Annie was wonderful to her grandchildren. But what she didn't know is that if she had taken that 100,000, instead of putting it into a CD, she put it into life insurance. Well, the same $100,000 would have bought her about $200,000 of a death benefit, and instead of $16,600, she was going to give each of her grandchildren $36,600. So she's leaving them that much extra, and it's just by placing it into a life insurance policy. Well, the same thing is true about charity as well. And this is Al and Helen. Now, a couple that I have worked with are just like Al and Helen. What really happened was the fact that they wanted to give money to charity. So they thought $50,000 was going to be a very generous amount that they wanted to give to charity when they passed. Well, as we started to get into it, we actually started to realize that she wanted to gift $50,000 and he wanted to gift $50,000. So it's not $50,000 total, it's $100,000 total. So what we did is we took that $50,000, we put it into life insurance, and now that $50,000 bought $100,000 of life insurance, and each of them could be now paying for the charities that they won just by the life insurance. So we don't need to leave money. We can leave them life insurance. Now, going back to our Social Security, that's also something interesting that we can be protecting with life insurance as well. So remember our couple. Well, let's say that just for changing some of the numbers around here, that we have $2,000 a month for the husband, $1,000 a month for the spouse, his wife, but he passes away. Well, again, she gets the higher benefit, so that transfers to her. So she has $2,000 versus her $1,000. But since that $1,000 went away, her income went down. And what's even worse is that now she's single in single tax brackets. So her income tax went up and her income went down. So what we can do then is use life insurance to actually supplement. And now we can keep that loss from happening. So she can maintain that extra amount of money and be able to pay taxes. Well, that's a lot that we have gone through today. And again, don't worry, retire happy. There's been a lot of strategies that we have gone through. Having a plan for just doing it, just doing everything related to retirement is going to be helpful. Working a little longer, covering your basic expenses with a guaranteed lifetime income, optimizing your savings from inflation, maximizing your Social Security benefits, having a plan for long-term care, and using your home equity wisely. And then comes back down to the bonus that I had with how to pass on assets with life insurance. A lot there. Now, you're probably on one element of the mountain here. You're either building wealth, protecting wealth, or distributing your wealth. I want to ask you a question here. Where are you on your own personal mountain? Now, we here at Lions Wealth, we work with protecting your wealth and distributing your wealth and talking about those income. And I'm going to give you a special offer for today. just by being part of this webinar, because there's a lot that we've covered, and I know you probably have questions. So because you were on this webinar today, I want to offer you our Wealth Progress meeting. This is a $3,000 value to you, and is going to talk through all the 7 steps of retirement security that we were talking about today. So this 2-part meeting, this really comes back down to how we can look at where you're at today and try to get to where you are in the future. And by doing that, we're going to have one meeting that I call a discovery meeting. This is going to look at where you're at today, all the details of where you're at. And then we're going to talk about where do you want to go. Now that second meeting then is what I call the gap finder meeting. And we're going to be going through your wealth enhancement, wealth transfer, wealth protection, Social Security, all the retirement risks that we need to take off the table, estate planning, charitable giving, wealth protection. We're going to go through all of those as part of seeing if there's gaps that exist and talk about ways to fill those gaps. And then ultimately, we're actually going to give you and show you how we can continually increase your probability of success. So by working on systematically trying to remove those gaps, how we can be working to improve the overall success you have in retirement. Now that's a $3,000 value just for those 2 meetings alone. Now out of that then, I want to actually offer you more as well. Capital gains harvester. So if you have stock options or stock that you've had for many years, you're going to need to know when and how to take those stocks to pay capital gains on them. Well, that's what that harvester calculator is going to work with. 2 white papers also that I'm going to be giving you regarding retirement. That right there is a $35 value. And then one of the big kickers, the Elite Wealth Planning book. That's an $89 value to you. So those 2 meetings, like I said, that we have, the not only the discovery meeting, but the gap finder meeting, that includes that probability of success. That's a $3,000 value to you. Going through the calculator for capital gains, and also including in that are the new tax laws of the Secure 2.0 that have just come out, $149 value. The 2 retirement white papers, a $35 value. And then also we have the book. Now this is an incredible book. This is one that all of the wealthy and ultra wealthy are using as part of their planning. This is talking through it and how you can utilize that as part of your planning as well. So it's really talking through all the steps on what the ultra wealthy do with their assets and their wealth, and how you can be using that same steps to improve your overall wealth plan. Now that's an $89 value just for these meetings. Okay, so the meetings, all that we talked about, those extras, you're going to get those. But what you need to do, you need to go to our website, lionswealth.com/contact. lionswealth.com/contact. Now, what to expect? When you get there, you will have your inputting of your name, kind of your contact information there. Also, there's going to be a message section. Now, in that message section, I want you to put in there, happy 29. Happy 29. And then when you send it, we will know that this was something that you were on this webinar. And because of that, we're going to be giving you the discovery meeting, the gap finder meeting. We're going to be giving you the capital gains harvester, the retirement white papers, and the book, the Elite Wealth Planning book, all for free. That's a $3,275 value to you. We're going to give it to you complimentary just because of this webinar today. So go to lionswealth.com/contact and put happy 29 in the message section. And what we will do again is we'll be getting in touch with you. We'll give you a call. We'll set up our time to meet. And this will be virtually done over Zoom. And we can be looking to work on how to better your wealth plan, creating more secure lifetime income for you, and how to improve the success of your retirement. With that, I want to thank you for today. This was wonderful having you here. As you have questions, that same place, lionswealth.com/contact. Put happy 29 in the message section, and you can also include in there as well a question that you have that you want to make sure that we address in our time. It was very nice seeing you. I hope you enjoyed today, and I look forward to seeing you in our future meetings.